Custom Garage. So today we're under the Jetta. What I gotta do is get the shock up here. So I'm doing this, I got a 10mm socket which measures 9/16 of an inch from outside to outside. I'm gonna use that just to give me a gap between the rear end and the shock. Then I'm gonna mark the frame right here. Now that's where the center shaft is going. So up just a bit. Oops. This needs to go in line with that. So what we're gonna do is put a tack weld on this on the corner, and then I'm going to fit the shock on and see if I'm where I want to be. About there. Okay, tacked it 2 spots at the bottom, 2 on the outside. It's nice and sturdy now. Now we're going to put it in place, make sure it's where I want it. This is going to be fun. Yeah, I got a good space between there, so I'm pretty happy with that. Alright, we're going to bolt it up and we'll do the other side. So the other shock wasn't spinning, so I cut it. Cut both sides, dropped the shock off, cut the rubber off, heated it up with my propane torch, got this hot, and now it spins. So we got spinach inside there at least now. I'm gonna pull this off. I gotta pull this nut off. Maybe this whole U-bolt out. Get this out of the way so I can get this bolt out. I don't know why someone would put it on that way. So we're gonna take it off, turn it the other way. But that's how we got this off. Say it was rotted in there pretty good. Little heat, take a little time, and you can get these things off. Okay, that shock is in. So we took that one out like I showed you. I did the same thing on here. I put it up, I made 2 marks, and I centered this in the middle of it. And I got good fingers gap in here. That should be fine. Say if it's not, I'll move things. But for now, if I move it, I'll move it down here on the bottom. Because I'm not gonna definitely, after the frame's painted, we're not gonna be touching up here. So that's good for there. Next thing I want to do is set the pinion angle between the rear end and the engine. And I want to make a cross member for the transmission because right now I got a chain holding it up. So we've got a couple inches of room above the transmission if I need it, but we should be fine. The angle looks pretty good from one to the other, so I believe we're allowed 3 degrees on each side. I'm pretty sure I'm closer than that. I'm going to have some custom drive shafts made once I get the transmission mount made. So we'll do that next. Then we'll work our way forward. Try to get all this done. We got to put the mount in for this bar here. So a lot of the forums say you don't need it. I'm going to throw it in just because I can. It's here. I don't know if I trust leaf springs 100% to keep this thing straight, but they say it will. I don't know. Anyway, I have the bracket, so we're going to put it in. So we'll do these tomorrow. For now, this is going to be it for tonight. And tomorrow's another day. Okay, guys. So yesterday, I took the piece that come with a lift kit and I made this bar. Tack welded it to it. And that's going to be my transmission mount. What I've got is a piece of plate that I cut. Then I go across. Now what I did, let's get over here, is I cut a relief cut in it on the edge. So I wanted to have a little like down on the end just for strength. So I cut this and bent it. Let's get a better view. I cut it, bent it, I'm going to weld it. Now by putting the relief cut, I can bend. This is 3/16 plate. You're not bending this. So you put a relief cut in, make it weak, and now I'm going to weld a weld all the way along this. This will go towards the back. I'll put 2 holes in it, and this will go up here. Now what I'll do is this will go to here. I'll put holes in it so that it's mounted up tight against the mount up here. And then we'll put some gussets on the sides to bring it down to here. Now right now my training's higher than it's supposed to be. I want to get the right height. I gotta set the angles of the transmission to match the rear end. So we're gonna bring this down, but this will go here. We'll get it at the right angle. We'll put some gussets in, put it to about this far back, and that'll weld onto this pipe. And that will be my rear transmission mount. So the next thing to do is get the training in the right location, get it where it belongs. I'm gonna weld this plate together, put some holes in it, bolt it on so I know that's where it belongs, get everything where I want it to be, and then figure out what the gusset's gonna look like that weld onto the bar. So that'll be the next stage. So there's my template. What I did is I took a piece of the round stock and I made it a half of the circle right here. And I traced that out. Then, let's get underneath here. So I traced it out so it fits around my tubing nicely. And then I cut it. And I gotta move this tube up a little to make it level with this. So I just cut it a little bit short. And that's gonna be perfectly where I want it to be welded here. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna make this piece, 2 pieces like this out of some the 3/16 plate. And then we're gonna come back and we're gonna tack weld them onto here. I'm going to adjust the bar to make sure it's level. It's not quite level. The angle's off just a little bit, so we're going to try to get that fixed up. And we're going to get this thing straight and level, and then we're going to weld everything up solid. Then the tranny will be bolted, will be matched up. For now, we'll probably just tack weld things. Once I get the body off, we can get everything easily. We'll get to it, and then we can do what we got to do. So let's make this piece up. We'll get 2 of these made up, then we'll come back. So we're back, and here's the 2 pieces I made. These are identical, so that way they at least are even side to side. Okay, so what you want to do is get it so that the weld is going to weld the inside corner, slight gap, and we'll put tack welds in it, and then I'll weld it along that edge, and then weld the inside edge also, and that should give it a good strong bond. Today we're setting the angle of the transmission to put a transmission mount in. First thing I gotta do is check the rear end. So we'll put the rear end in. We're at 81.6 degrees. 81.6. Here we go. We're at 81.6. We're at 81.6 on the rear end. So that's where we want to be. Now that I got the angles even from here to here, these are all tacked. The tack there. I had to cut this one a little bit. I took about 1/8 of an inch off it, re-welded that back on. That's tacked on. Everything here now is where it should be. What I'm gonna do now is tack some more welds on this, make sure everything's gonna be where we keep it where it's not gonna move. And then we'll move on forward, get some more stuff done. So this is good. Got a good support now for the transmission. All right, so now that it's painted, it's time to fit everything in here that needs to go in. All of this stuff needs to go out. I'm thinking train horns over there, the compressor on this side, and the battery. But before I can get started on that, I need to find a spot for the radiator and a fan. I'm going to take this fan off, put electric fan on. Going to change the carburetor, whatever system it's in this, and all these controls and modules and computers and all that. We're going to take it out. We're putting an old carburetor on it. Making it easy, making it old school, make it work. So we're going to take all this stuff off first, get the stuff out of my way, and then start figuring out where all this stuff goes. I've been looking at this thing for a good hour. I don't know. One piece at a time, I guess. But for now, I'm going to get this monstrosity, all that stuff out, so I can start figuring out where I got to start. Now on to the front, we're going to put the radiator in. I got to build a radiator support bracket for the radiator. Across my front, sitting on its suspension naturally, it's at a 0.4 degrees. So what we're going to do is we're going to weld this in and also at a 0.4 degrees. Ground out of the way. Let's set the radiator in. Now the radiator's going to mount in the front, right here. Got 3/8 of an inch gap. So what we're going to do is we're going to mark the frame rail, this rail I put across. Okay, now we're going to mark the rail approximately where I need an upright. Okay, approximately 16 inches would be plenty, so we're gonna start with that and we'll see where we go after that. Okay, so we got these cut to 16 inches, maybe longer than we need, but it's a good starting point. We can figure out where to go from there. I've got a 90-degree angle square on the bottom. It's magnetic, so we know that at least it'll be square and true. So we're going to throw the tack on the bottom of this. We're going to do the same thing to the other side, and then we can go from there as far as what we need to go across. This has an on-off switch, so you can turn it off, pick it up, move to the other side, turn it back on. And it sticks. We'll put a tack on this side. Turn that off. Now we've got two uprights, and from there we can figure out where we need a cross on the top. Gonna grab some clamps, get a better idea where this thing needs to be. Enough room in there to stick my fingers in, so yeah, I'm fine there. Okay, we got the clearance on the bottom now. Plenty of room up here. This side's got to go up just a little. Now I gotta go down a little. Got almost 2 fingers of room right there. I'm touching right here. So I got still get to go that way more. Could bring the whole thing back that way. Plenty of room to do that. So I think we're going to slide the whole thing back towards the engine further. Because it's just too close. Like, this is trial and error. You got to keep doing it till you get it figured out. Now the last time I measured, I was at 6.5 inches. I'm going to put it back to 7. Okay, so now we're at 7 inches back. I'll cut the other side and do the same. Okay, now we've slid it back. Should give us a little more room so we're not hitting the steering box. Okay, I don't go too far back because I have power steering lines back there that I don't want to have any problems with. So we'll grab our radiator again and we'll try another fit. Okay, so I'm going to measure across the top bar now. And we can see there it's 22 3/4. Put some caps on this, figure that out. Okay, so what I did for the top bar, instead of using the large square tubing, I used a 3/4 inch square tubing. That kept me away from this pretty aggressive weld right here. And all it's doing is holding the two bars together. It's not doing anything else, so it doesn't really need to be anything bigger than that. That's gonna be plenty strong enough to hold it. We're gonna have to put something forward so that this thing doesn't rock like this anyway. So we'll put some kind of a plate going from here across to the radiator support, and that will hold it straight there. So we'll figure something out for that. But for now, we're going to tack weld this in place. And then we should be good as far as a basic structure. You can see I'm a little bit higher on this side. I don't know why it is, but it is. We'll check it out. But it's even across the bottom. That's what I want. So that's even there. And we'll tack this in. We'll cut that top piece off that we don't need. Then we'll figure out how to make a bracket to brace it to the radiator support. Okay, we're good with that. I'm going to pull the radiator back out, try not to damage it. Well, I've hit it twice already, so hopefully we'll get no hole in it. Okay, I got a piece of flat stock that's almost perfectly the size of this square tubing. So I'm going to cut it and put a bend in it so I can get you guys at a better angle. I'll put a bend in it so it mounts to the radiator support, and that'll be a bolt-on piece so that if I have to take the radiator support off, I can. Flat on the top of that, and then I can weld it on. So I'm going to take off just a little bit of this for the thickness of that metal, and then we'll bring you back. Now that I've got the support braces tacked in place, I'm going to pull it. I'm going to drill a hole on the back side. Let's see if I can get you around over here. I'm going to put a hole on this side and on that side. I'm going to make it big enough, and I'm going to put a nut on the back of this. I'm going to weld it on so I can just bolt it through here, and that'll hold the radiator to the original radiator support, and that'll make this nice and solid. So we'll get these holes drilled out, and then we're gonna find some nuts to fit, and we'll get going. Gonna start with an 1/8 inch drill bit. It's usually best to start with a small one and work your way up. So there you go. Got a hole in both of them. And now we make the hole bigger and weld the nut in the back side. Okay, so there you go. Got a couple welds on the back. Just take this off now. It's hot, so don't keep your fingers in there too long. You'll get burned. And we'll clean that up and put some paint on it. It'll be good to go. Okay, I've got them both painted. So we'll let this dry. Then we're going to bolt them in, and then we're going to weld up the support to these, and we'll be good to go. Okay, so we drilled some 5/16 holes there, and then a 1/4 inch one on the bottom. That's so that the radiator can slide over the first hole. Just slide it down in and then bolt it in. I did that on the other side also. We're going to run some bolts through this. We're going to weld them on the front sides over here. We're going to weld all the way down, so there'll just be studs sticking out, and then the radiator should go on pretty easy. So we're going to get the bolts in there, then we're going to weld them in. What I've done is put the bolt through with a nut on the end that keeps it nice and tight, and now I can weld it and it won't move. When I take the nuts off, I'll be able to slide the radiator right on, and I should be in good shape. Now we got the radiator in. I just got one bolt on each side holding it. Next thing we need to do is make a bracket to here. This would have went on the Jetta. We're gonna make a bracket coming up off of this bar that's gonna bolt this in and make this all steady. I'm gonna put some bolts in where they belong on this. Get everything where it belongs across the front, and then we're going to make this bracket next. So let's find some bolts for that and for this side first, and then we can figure out what we're going to do here. Probably just be a straight plate up with a couple gussets on it, nothing too fancy, don't need to be, but definitely got to do something there. And there's a simple bracket just to hold this from wobbling. So now that's nice and sturdy. If I needed to adjust a little in or out, I could just by hitting it, but that was it. Something pretty simple there. So we've got, this has got to get all welded up still. We got to do that after I pull the radiator back out. I'll probably do it once I get the body off, just so it's a lot easier to get to. So I welded tab on both sides. And when the body goes back on, I'll drill 2 holes in it and we'll bolt it on. Then the race support here, the bracket will be removable. So I got a bunch of welding to do on this. For now, we're not gonna worry about that. Maybe I'll do that on the weekend, but for now, we're just gonna take this off and get this motor out of here. So when we get all this stuff off of it first, not only make it easier to pick up, but I want to get all the electrical stuff off of this thing and see what we have underneath all of this. So a lot to do here, so I'm going to try to get it done. Okay, we got the plates here. These plates are going to go on the frame over here. Sides, top and bottom, just to finish this off so it looks like it's never been cut. We got this to weld. I got these to weld. We got a ton of welding to do tonight. We're going to try to get it all done, and then we can move forward to the front and get everything else stuff done up there. But for tonight, we're going to do a ton of welding. One side down, one to go. Okay, so that's probably it for tonight's welding. The bottom of those plates I'll weld when I get the whole thing apart and I can flip it over. But for tonight we're going to stop welding. We'll make sure there's no chance of fire. We're going to make sure everything has time to cool down and look around. You got to be careful when you're welding. Anytime you're welding, give it 30 minutes. And double check, make sure you don't have a fire, because too many shops go up in smoke and don't want it to be mine. So the shocks are welded now. The brace for the cross member there is welded in, and the frame is welded. Tomorrow night I will grind the welds on that, clean up anything that needs to get cleaned up, move forward, take the old brackets off that held the body of the Jeep on. There's 2 of those left. We're gonna take those off. Then we're gonna go around, make sure we got everything we need to on the tops and the sides done. Then we'll pull the motor out, take the suspension off this thing, flip it over, do everything on the bottom that needs to get done. I know there's a couple of bolts that the nuts are gone now, and so I need to put some new plates in there to put the nuts for the steering rack to go back in. So there's still a few things to do, and then we're gonna pull the motor, get that thing out of here and get this frame painted. And hopefully this thing's gonna go together pretty quick. We're gonna undercoat the underneath this. Still gotta order a fuel cell and a fuel pump. A few other things for this I don't have yet, but there's always something else you need. So yeah, tomorrow night we'll get back on this and we'll get this cleaned up and move forward. So that's it for tonight. Tomorrow's another day. Clean up the welds a bit. I gotta do a little more welds along the way here, clean it up really nice. Whoops, here we go. Yeah, so this is all cleaned up. We're gonna clean up this, got a few more spots here I'm gonna weld in, grind all that down flush, and the frame rails will be patched up the way I want them. Yep, so we're gonna call out a video here. We've got quite a bit done this week. Hopefully next weekend we're gonna get the motor out, motor training, all that out, get the differentials front and rear out, and get this thing down to a bare frame, get it all ground up, cleaned up, finish up any repairs I can find that I need to do on it to make it what I want, and then we'll get some paint on this thing. So hopefully in the next video we get some paint on this, then we start putting it back together. Some more parts come in. There's more things I'm ordering, of course. I think we're gonna try to put some headers on this because it's got the stock exhaust. And they're kind of tight, so I'm thinking I'm gonna buy a set of headers, put headers down on it. I gotta order the distributor for it still, and a fuel cell and fuel pump. So I gotta order a few more things, but while we're doing that, we'll get everything else done. So again, thanks for watching. Please hit the like, subscribe, notifications. You know, tell your friends. Watch more of the other videos. Appreciate you guys, and we'll catch you on the next one.